I'm a proud father of two beautiful daughters. I'll call them S and J for short. S is 28, and I had her with my ex-wife. We divorced before S was 2. I eventually met and married my wife, who's S's stepmother. A few years later, J was born. J is 23 now. J is very extroverted, outgoing, and social. S, on the other hand, has always been introverted compared to J, and never had many friends growing up. Over several years ago, I opened up a bakery in which S would voluntarily help me out at the bakery. She was slightly younger than J is now at that time. She even saved up some of her own money from working retail and financially contributed towards the bakery. My car broke down 4 years ago. My wife has debts to pay off. I asked S if she wouldn't mind lending me some money, and she helped pay towards my car repair and never asked for anything back. Then the next year my roof leaks, and S helps me out financially again. Eventually my business goes under due to virus, so S helps me again. There was a couple times I asked J if she could lend me money with a promise to pay her back, but it ultimately turned into an argument. Last year when J graduated college, she wanted a car for her graduation gift because she was offered a good job out of college and needed reliable transportation. S helped pay towards her younger sister's first car as a college graduation gift. It was very generous. My wife and I have jobs. It's just that something always seems to break every year, especially with how old our house is. 1899. Almost a year ago, I receive a good bonus check from my job. Then, shortly after that, I receive news from J that she's engaged and planning a wedding. I figured the best course of action would be to use that towards her wedding. So I gave her the check. And since then, she's been ordering the things she needs for this upcoming big wedding. She's invited a ton of guests too, so the catering costs alone are high. The wedding is coming up in a few months, and last month, I just received news that my older daughter S just got engaged. S found out the amount I gave to J towards her wedding, and wanted me to contribute too once J's wedding is done. I apologized to S, and said I can contribute a little bit, but not nearly as much. S got sad, and reminded me of all the time she financially helped me since she was 21. I said I'm forever grateful. I just can't come up with the money anytime soon. S's mom is poor, so asking her is out of the question. Also, if I asked J, she would get furious. J doesn't handle doing favors nearly as well as S, even compared to when S was her age. I'm not sure if it's J's personality, but I'd rather avoid more fights or arguments with J, especially since her own wedding is coming up. Sadly though, S has been depressed. I never planned for my bakery to go out of business, or for my house and car to have tons of problems. Am I the a-hole for paying a lot more towards J's wedding compared to S's near-future wedding? Even though S helped me financially a lot in the past. You're the a-hole. Keep taking S for granted, and you may lose her. It seems your eldest daughter is skilled at budgeting and planning for the future. Ask her for advice for both you and your wife. Apply the advice and figure out how to pay back S, with interest. You're the a-hole. You should have paid S back way before you even offered J any money at all. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're the a-hole. You don't give one daughter a massive sum of money for her wedding, then give the other daughter next to nothing, and then factor in that the daughter being treated unfavorably was frequently used as your personal bank. Yeah, I have a feeling S will be uninviting you from the wedding and going no contact. The obvious thing to do would have been to take that bonus and split it between the two. You should have never given all that money to one daughter, knowing you'd never be able to do the same for your other daughter. Ha. 10 years ago, I got into a big argument with my parents, and I asked my sister if she can help me out, to which she agreed, so long as I paid for my own plane ticket and settle everything on my side, because of some stupid beliefs that she has. So after settling everything out, I ended up flying from New York City all the way over to Los Angeles, so that I can move in with her in her own house. Only except it wasn't actually hers, but her in-laws. It turned out that after 2 months of living there, her in-laws came back, and I found out that not only has she been lying about how the house was hers, but it also turned out that she never told them I was moving in. So only after 2 months, I got kicked out and had to stay with a good coworker, friend, where we ended up living together for 5 years. 2 in LA, and then we moved to Chicago together and stayed together for 3, then got our own places. Of course, without my dear sister doing a single thing to help me out, except for an insincere apology. Fast forward 10 years, and my sister and her family messed up a lot that resulted in them having to sell her in-laws' house, and essentially ended up homeless and poor. So I offered to let her family stay, only if they are willing to sign a lease stating that they are allowed to stay in my apartment for only 2 months, and then they would need to find their own place to live, like they did to me. So for the next 2 months, instead of finding a place to stay at, they were love-bombing me with compliments and expensive gifts. And my sister even tried to reconcile with me, to which I refused, because I seriously wanted nothing more to do with her after this, and I only let her in to return the favor. On the other hand, her two kids were the most disrespectful brats that I have ever met. Both because they're just undisciplined brats, and because of how their parents kept yelling at them, and always taking my side, which created a vicious cycle of them resenting me even more. Yesterday, I warned them that this was their last week, and asked them if they have a place to move in, because I will be kicking them out by the beginning of the next month. They told me that they hadn't, and that they didn't think I took the whole staying only for 2 months threat seriously, and begged me to let them stay for another month. They even went as far as to get their kids involved in the begging, and even begged me to be willing to let their kids stay. To which I also said no. This was apparently such a big deal, because for the first time in 10 years, my parents called me and demanded why I was refusing to help my sister and her family, and told me that this attitude of mine is the reason why they always have issues with me, and told me to grow a heart. Honestly, I would have stuck to the original plan. But if my parents, who went no contact with me, decided to contact me again, just to call me out, I'm wondering if I am the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Just be prepared for no one involved to see it that way. Humans aren't known for being objective and unbiased, and you need to be prepared to treat them the same way you were treated when it was you, if your intentions are to go through with the plan. I'm here to tell you that you are not the a-hole, but I suspect almost no one is going to see it that way, and you should ready yourself for the backlash. Not the a-hole, but be prepared to have to go through a formal eviction process to get them out, even though your lease says only 2 months. They do not sound like the type to go quietly or easily. Also, if your parents are so concerned about your sister and her family, why don't they take them in? I just love how people will call to gripe someone out for having an attitude or needing to grow a heart, but won't lift a finger to help the people they expect you to help. Stay strong and good luck. It will be unpopular, but I'm going with everyone sucks here. To be clear, you aren't the a-hole for kicking them out after oversaying they're welcome, but for letting them come to live with you in the first place. You shouldn't let family back into your life, and certainly not move in with you, if it's just under the pretext of revenge. Especially not when that family had to move a very long way to be there, and their children are involved. Just give them all their gifts back so they can sell them for a down payment. You should have been encouraging and helping them find a place from day one, not just a week from their departure. I feel like there is no way that you didn't know it was going to play out like this, and you're the a-hole for allowing already destabilized children to come into your home, just so you could further destabilize them to stick it to your sister. You didn't let her move in to be kind to them. You did it for the satisfaction of cutting it off at exactly 2 months. Just be honest, and that's what makes you the a-hole. My family comes from a culture where recipes are passed down by only the women in the family. This is because in the past, women didn't have any other power or property that was their own, so it was their way of having some kind of pull. I'm a man, and have never even tried to guess what's in some of the dishes my mother, aunts, and grandmother cooked. In fact, there are some dishes I don't even eat anymore because I don't want to risk spilling the secret. My sister has my 4-year-old nephew with her husband. When she had him, our mother gave her a list of all the old family recipes for her to cook. They don't plan on having another child, so this will have to be returned to the family when she dies. Anyway, I was coming over for a visit, and she told me she was making dinner. When I got there, I was shocked that she was not only cooking with her husband, but reading off the family recipes in front of him and my nephew. I panicked and started screaming at her that she was going against our culture and left. I called our mother, who called her to ask if it was true. When she confirmed that yes, her husband had free access to the recipes, my mother disowned her and had the rest of the family follow suit. I did the same. I have no interest in ever seeing her or her son ever again after what she did to the family. My wife told me that it wasn't a big deal, and that some of the recipes might have been lost forever otherwise, but she doesn't understand my family's culture. You're the a-hole. That is just crappy. If your culture really thinks disowning people over food is okay, then it's time to look at how wrong and toxic the culture is. You're the a-hole. Your sister had every right to end the tradition, or keep it if she wants. The recipes have been handed down. They do not belong to your mom anymore. Disowning your child over sharing recipes with her family is extremely harsh. Your brother-in-law and nephew are family. They should be allowed to share in cooking if they want to. As others have said, this is a tradition that doesn't empower women. It gives the illusion of power whilst keeping them in the kitchen. Holy crap, you're the a-hole. You and your whole family are nothing but petty. You can disguise this as an issue of culture all you want to, but no. This goes beyond a powerful history moment. Y'all are petty, and emotionally violating the message of what it was. If anything, this seems so petty and ridiculous, I doubt it's even real. And if it is, you're a terrible brother, and your family will get their karma. My, male 30, sister, female 27, got married 2 years ago. They're expecting their first kid. She's 6 months pregnant now. I'm a college teacher, so is my sister. We work in the same university, but in different departments. Around 2 weeks ago, a student came up to me and asked if we could talk. He told me he's not in my class, but in my sister's class. This student had to visit my sister's office, and he saw some photos of family that she has on the walls. The student told me that he thinks that her husband, male 31, is the same man that has been dating him, and as he knew I was his teacher's brother, he wanted to talk to me first instead of going straight to my sister in case he was mistaken. He showed me photos they took together. It was in fact my brother-in-law. The student also showed me some texts to prove that they indeed had a romantic relationship going on between them. I thanked him for telling me the truth. He was unsure of how to tell the truth to my sister, so I told him that I could speak to her if he liked it. He agreed, and sent me some of the photos and texts so I could show her the proof of his infidelity. I asked my sister to meet with me in my house after her last class so we could talk. I told her all I knew, and I showed her the proofs her student gave me. She was devastated. The next day she confronted him about his infidelity. He tried to deny it at first, but then when she showed him the texts, he admitted it. He said that he felt pressured to hide that he was gay and get married to a girl by his Catholic family. My sister is very sad and angry about all of this. She's filing for a divorce. She told most of our family and their friends about what happened. My brother-in-law has left their home, and I haven't seen him much, but I saw him on the street yesterday. He looks awful. He doesn't even look like himself. A friend of mine who's dating one of his cousins told me that his family found out too about why he was getting divorced, and now are no contact with him. Some of his friends also turned their back to him. I feel terrible about all of this, to be honest. I know what he did was wrong because he shouldn't have cheated on my sister. She's going through a lot too, and she didn't deserve any of this. But I also know that our society is quite aged still. I'm thinking that maybe I could have told my sister to not tell the details of her divorce to anyone. Or that maybe I should have spoke with him beforehand, so he could at least be ready for all the backlash she's facing now. I don't know. I feel like I could have done something different. Not to protect him from telling my sister that he was cheating, but to protect him from all the hate she's facing now. My family is telling me that I did nothing wrong, but I've read about how defenseless a person feels when they're outed. I feel like I've done something very bad, and I don't know how to fix it. Not the a-hole. You didn't out him for being gay. You told your sister that her partner was cheating on her. That's on him. Being gay doesn't give anyone the right to lie and cheat on their spouse, regardless of their gender. Also, your student is to be commended. Must have been a very tough spot for him to be in. Not the a-hole. Him being gay doesn't erase the fact that he's been cheating on your sister. She has every right to tell whoever she wants about the details of why they are no longer together. You didn't out him for being gay. You outed him for cheating. It just so happened to be with a man. Not the a-hole. He was cheating on your sister, and she deserved to know. She had a right to know that he was using her as a cover to live a lie, and that he never really loved her. That betrayal would cut even deeper than the betrayal of being cheated on. That's not fair to her at all. Whenever she is ready to date again, she is going to have serious trust issues, and that is her husband's fault. His situation with his family is unfortunate, but that isn't on you. You did the right thing by putting your sister first. I've always had a complicated relationship with my son, 28 male. My ex-husband, 52 male, worked long hours, so it was often just the two of us. I always wanted to be the best for him, so I would nag him about things like finishing his homework, eating healthily, and going to bed on time. I never really listened to what he wanted, and I can see now that that was a mistake. Things got worse when my husband had an affair with his coworker, and we got divorced when our son was 16. My son wanted to live with his dad and stepmom, who he felt were more laid back. They didn't force him to contact me, and over time, we lost touch. It breaks my heart to admit this, but I cried nights on end after my son moved out. I missed him terribly and didn't know how to reconnect with him. I was devastated when I found out he had changed his number and moved out of state. Over the years, my former in-laws became my rock. They would give me updates on my son's life, and I would cry tears of joy and sadness when I heard about his accomplishments and milestones. I cried during my wedding and during my youngest son's birth because I missed my oldest son so much. Recently, I was invited to my ex-husband's parents' anniversary party. I decided to go, hoping to reconnect with my son. I didn't expect him to be happy to see me, but I was shocked by his reaction. He was angry that I had remarried and had a 5-year-old son. He felt like I had replaced him with a perfect, well-behaved kid. I tried to say that I had wanted to tell him, but I didn't know how to reach him. He yelled at me, and then left with his dad and stepmom. I feel terrible about what happened. I was hoping to reconnect with my son, but instead, I made things worse. I miss him so much, and I saw the dinner as a way to try to bridge the gap between us. But it didn't work out that way, and now I don't know what to do. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm sorry if I didn't explain myself properly, but in the beginning, he would pick up my phone calls, but then he stopped. I continued to try and call him, but then I learned he changed his phone number. He was 19, I think. Not the a-hole. Your son went no contact with you, but feels he has the right to criticize or condemn you for getting remarried and having another child. Meanwhile, the cheating father and mistress turned stepmom are the heroes. Are you sure that the in-laws are as great as you think? Sounds like he's scapegoating you for the divorce. Did you get blamed by your ex-husband and his affair partner? I would have felt so betrayed that my son picked the cheating father and his affair partner over his mom. Not the a-hole. He cut you out of his life. He doesn't get to act like he didn't reject you. Not the a-hole, but it seems he made up his mind, and nothing you can do can change it. Maybe write a letter. This post might make a good starting point, and leave it with his grandparents. When a 28-year-old gets upset about having a 5-year-old half-sibling, there seems to be lingering resentment that seems to indicate professional help. Even so, that is up to him, and maybe the ones that he sees as dear to him. But even then, he might change his opinion, but that still does not mean he will make room in his life for you. Dog,